Hello BookTube. Today I'm going to be doing the Bookish Wombles Tag. This tag was created by Roy of Roy Reads Anything, and I was kindly tagged by Pat of Book Chat with Pat. I'll leave links to both channels in the show notes down below. And in honor of Roy's channel name, I'm going to try to use as many genres in this tag as I can. So let's get started. Prompt number 1. The Wombles are mascots of environmental awareness and conservation. Tell us about a book which features the environment as a theme. For this prompt, I'm going to go with a work of non-fiction, The Brilliant Abyss by Helen Scales. This is a work of science non-fiction that looks at the deepest parts of the Earth's oceans. Both the environment, the biology, and unfortunately the exploitability of the deep oceans. It is a really good book. I really enjoyed it when I read it a few years ago, and Scales has since written a number of books looking at other parts of the ocean. Prompt number 2. The Wombles are well-loved whimsical characters. Is there a whimsical book or series in your reading life? For this prompt, I'm going to go with One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. One Piece is one of the most popular manga series in the world. It is about a young man named Monkey D. Luffy, who, when he was a child, was a mascot for a crew of pirates captained by a man named Red-Haired Shanks. During one of the red-haired pirates' last visits to Luffy's home village, Luffy eats a devil fruit, a fruit that grants its consumer superhuman abilities, making Luffy a rubber man. His limbs and body become highly elastic, and he can do a variety of superhuman feats with these abilities at the cost of never being able to swim. 10 years later, Luffy leaves his home village to set out and become a pirate, first by gathering a crew and then going in search of the One Piece, a feeble treasure that will grant him the right to call himself King of the Pirates. One Piece is set in a wildly whimsical fantasy world in which there are insane island kingdoms where one island might be in perpetual winter, one might be in a perpetual summer. The devil fruit abilities are incredibly varied. It's just One Piece is an insane world. But just because it is insane and whimsical does not mean that it is all light. One Piece is quite dark. Prompt number 3. The Wombles find things that the everyday folk leave behind. Have you ever found a book just lying around for you to take? No. Or found a secondhand book that was amazingly cheap. Now for this prompt, I'm not going to have a specific book because there were a number of books that I bought this way. So I've told this story before, but I was, up until the pandemic, a patron of the Waco McLennan County Library System. I would go to the West Waco Library branch. And in the lobby, there is a book sale nook or alcove, where the top shelf would have mostly paperback books for about 50 cents. Below those books, there would be magazines for, I think, 25 cents and National Geographic for 10 cents. And I would sometimes browse that nook to see if there was anything that was of interest. And one of the books that I bought from that book nook were some of the Wheel of Time novels by Robert Jordan, although I did not actually read any of them. And I think I have subsequently gotten rid of them as well. Although, yeah, I think I did. But then again, I also thought I got rid of the Malazan Book of the Fallen books, and I think I actually still have those. Although I do want to get rid of them. But anyway, moving on to prompt number 4. The Wombles upcycle unwanted items. Tell us about a book that improves on a well-established trope or updates a classic story. I have 2 answers for this prompt, and I will be returning to manga. First up is Kagurabchi by Takeru Hokazono. Kagurabchi is a brilliant take on the revenge story. It's about a young man named Chihiro who goes in search of revenge for the murder of his father by a group of outlaw sorcerers called the Hishaku, who stole the enchanted blades that his father made. The other answer to this prompt will be Pluto by Naoki Urasawa, which is based on Astro Boy by Osamu Tezuka. So Astro Boy is one of the most canonical works of manga. A lot of what Tezuka did with Astro Boy became sort of the foundations for a lot of shonen manga. And Pluto is a more adult take on it. And particularly one story arc of Astro Boy called, I think, The Strongest Robot. So Astro Boy is about a human-like robot called Adam, who goes on all sorts of adventures. In Pluto, the focus shifts to another android called Gesicht, who is a police inspector, and he's investigating both the murders of the other androids who could be called the strongest androids in the world, the most advanced androids in the world, as well as members of a group of scientists who investigated reports that the Persian kingdom were stockpiling robots of mass destruction. If it does sound like the Iraq War, it basically is inspired by the Iraq War. And so it's an interesting take on that. Prompt number 5. The Wombles Stay Out of Sight. Tell us about a book that features a hidden or invisible person or group. For this, I'm going to go with American superhero comics and select the Fantastic Four, because, of course, one of the main members of the Fantastic Four is the Invisible Woman. Prompt number 6. The Wombles are named after real places. Tell us about a book with a real-world place name in the title. For this prompt, I am blinking on something because I forgot about this answer. Well, no, that was a fictional place. We need a real world place for that one. I'm not thinking of anything. I think I had an answer for this earlier, but I'm blanking on it now. Sorry about this. Well, I guess I will go with a work of history and select Alexandria by Issa. I'm blanking on his name because I had it like a few years ago and didn't like it and got rid of it because it's a history of the Egyptian city of Alexandria. Okay, let's move on to prompt number 7. The Wombles live on Wimbledon Common, a large green space in London. Nature meets the city. Tricky one, this. Can you tell us about a story in any medium in which natural and urban environments coexist or clash? For this prompt, I'm going to go with Batman because, of course, there's the character Poison Ivy, who, whenever she shows up, there is always a clash between nature and the urban landscape of Gotham City. Although this usually, I think, happens more when Poison Ivy is the main antagonist of her arc or the main character of her own storyline, rather than when she's a more supporting antagonist. In this case, she's usually more of just a superpowered mercenary. Okay, prompt number 8. The Wombles carry tiny bags to collect their finds. Do you have a favorite bag or other device of carrying or use when book shopping? I don't actually in-person bookshop. I actually buy all of my books online. So my favorite would be the cardboard boxes that the various bookstores I order from ship their books to me in. Prompt number 9. Remember, you're a Womble. Have you ever read a book featuring a fictional band or musician that is actually good? For this prompt, I've read very few books featuring musicians as main characters. But one of the few that I have read is Wonderland by Stacey Erasmo, which is about a musician who is trying to start back up again. She made a splash a few years before the story begins, and then something happens and she steps back from the music industry and becomes a teacher. And over the course of the novel, she's trying to get back into the music industry by going on tour through Europe, where she was quite popular. And over the course of the novel, she tries to reestablish herself on the music scene. And finally, prompt number 10. If you'd like to do this tag, consider yourselves tagged. Anyway, BookTube, I think I will be back tomorrow, maybe with another tag video or talking about writing. And of course, also poetry at the very beginning of the morning. But for now, I need to go ahead and upload this video and get ready to finish off The Remembered Soldier by Anjet Daanje, translated from the Dutch by David McKay. So anyway, and I will talk about that novel on Friday with weekly reads. Well, weekly read, because the only thing I've been reading this week is The Remembered Soldier. Anyway, BookTube, until next time, thank you and have a great afternoon.